All right, welcome students to another edition of CTC Live. Today, we're going to be talking about LinkedIn. And to help us do that, actually to do all of it, I am just going to be in the back seat. It's good. We're going to have our fabulous career services director. His name is William Jones, and he is here to really hash out and explain to you what LinkedIn is. And I'm looking forward to it because I don't know enough about LinkedIn, so I feel like I'm going to learn a lot. So, William, can you tell us what LinkedIn is and what do we need to know about this and how is it important to our students?
Absolutely. And thank you, Mariceli, for that wonderful introduction. And thank all of you for taking time out of your day to join us. We're always looking to share all of our resources that are available to you. My department is part of the Student Success and Persistence Department, and we're all dedicated to giving you guys that support that you need outside of the classroom. And that's kind of the idea with today's presentation, is to talk about what career services has to offer you, and what LinkedIn is and how you can make that work for you as well. So again, if it's okay with you, I'll go ahead and share my screen here. And all right, let me know if you can see my presentation there.
Yes.
Awesome.
You might want to make it big though. Yeah, there you go. We see it
Okay.
great now.
Awesome. All right. So first off, just like Mariceli said, my name is William Jones, and I'm the Director of Career Services here at CTC. We actually just recently moved across campus. I had to update my presentation. It still had our old address, but this is our contact info. For those of you who are familiar with campus, we're actually located in the financial aid building. Just when you walk in the building, we're in the opposite wing at the very end of the hallway. But you also have my phone number there, my email address, and our website as well. Before we get into how much fun and how great LinkedIn is, I want to tell you just a little bit about the Career Services Department here at CTC. So these are some of the services that we offer. We can help you with your resume. So if you have one and maybe you haven't looked at it in a year or two or 10, feel free to come by my office and we can help you out with that. If you don't know what a resume is, you absolutely need to come see me and we can go ahead and get you started on that. We've actually just started with mock interviews for the new semester. So basically, if you're not familiar, if you do have an interview coming up, or maybe if interviews always just seem really big and scary to you, you're more than welcome to come to my office and you can practice with me. And I can give you some, at least I think it's helpful feedback that can help build your confidence when it comes time for those real life interviews. We also do application reviews. So if you are applying to a website and if you get that anxiety that a lot of people do right before you hit submit, you can come to my office and we can take a look at it just to make sure that we're including everything that's going to benefit you. We do also offer career counseling. So if you're kind of on the fence as far as trying to decide what it is that you want to do, we can help you with that as well. We do also provide our own job board. Yes, CTC has their very own job board to post their own jobs, but this job board is for external jobs. So if you're familiar with Indeed.com, this is our own version of Indeed. The only difference is that these are jobs that are actually located here in the area. These are employers that are looking to hire you here in this area. These aren't jobs in Taiwan or in Australia. These are jobs in Texas that are looking to hire you. Also, these are actual jobs. You're not going to find any scammers. You're not going to find any MLMs or anything like that on our job board. These are real employers who are looking to offer real jobs in all different fields. So if you haven't registered already, this gives you the website that you can use to link to that, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the presentation as well. The other thing that we have to offer that I really want to talk about is our career assessment tool. So I know for me, the hardest question to answer about college was, what am I doing this for? What do I want to be when I grow up? Even if you already have an idea of what it is that you want to study, if you already are thinking about what it is that you are looking to pursue with your future, our career assessment tool is a really helpful tool for you. Basically what it is you log into it And there's four personality quizzes, I should say, that are included in it. They ask you about things that you like, things that you don't like, things that you're good at, things that you're not good at. And then based on those results, it gives you some recommendations as far as some career fields that may be of interest to you. This is definitely something I recommend all students do, no matter where you are in your career, your college career. Whether this is your very first semester and you just met your first college professor this past week and you already feel like you're drowning, or whether you're looking to graduate in December, this is a really helpful tool to at least get a better idea of what it is that you're going to be pursuing. And I'll walk you through where to find that as well.
I think this is a great tool, and I'm sorry I'm interrupting, but
Go
every
for it.
single time that I have like a high schooler, even I've even told middle schoolers, you don't know what to do, you're thinking about this. I know I've given it to, family members and said, hey, go do it. Try to see if you can figure it out. What is it that kind of where you're at? What are you thinking? Because even if they're not if it does, it's not going to give them like a perfect answer, but at least it starts a conversation and they can start exploring those areas that they're interested in. So please take advantage of this tool. It is an amazing tool. Sorry, I really love that tool.
No, that's great. And I'm glad you mentioned it. I mean, and she's 100% right, folks. It is a tool, right? So it's not something that's going to, if you have no idea what you're going to do, this isn't going to give you that job. But just like Mariceli said, this is a perfect way to start thinking about what it is that you're going to do. Start weighing different options. A secret that nobody tells you about college is that college becomes so much easier once you know what it is that you're doing. That 10-page report that's due on Friday that you haven't touched and it's Thursday evening becomes that much easier to do when you know the reason why you're submitting that, why you're working so hard. So I always recommend, if mom and dad dragged you into the admissions office and forced you to start taking classes, then this is a great time to start looking at what it is that you actually want to do, so that way you can make sure that you're on the right track to get those things done. So absolutely be sure to take advantage of those resources available to you. But today we are here to talk about LinkedIn. LinkedIn, for those of you who don't know, LinkedIn is a social media site that is designed specifically around professionalism. We'll go into more details as far as what that is. But here's kind of a breakdown of what I want to talk about with y'all this afternoon. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what LinkedIn is, but then we're also going to talk about what it isn't. We're going to talk about how you get started, where you begin. The next thing we're going to talk about is, once you've gotten started, how do we go about posting? Because the way we use LinkedIn isn't the same way you would use Instagram or TikTok, right? Those are completely different services that both serve their purposes, right? Some may be more beneficial to us than others. Then after we talk about posting, we'll talk about making friends on LinkedIn, because it is a social media site, and so there are people that you want to follow. There are people that you'll want to friend, and we'll talk about the best way that we can make use of that. And then the last thing that we'll do is we'll talk about working LinkedIn and getting it to work for you. We'll talk about ways that we can take advantage of the resources that LinkedIn provides you, and ways that we can make LinkedIn work for us. And then after we're finished talking about LinkedIn, of course, you'll have an opportunity to ask any questions you may have. But then what I would like to do is show you our LinkedIn page, just so you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like, because it does look unique compared to, say, Facebook or Instagram or any of the other social media sites out there. And then we'll also show you our website, where you can find this resource and all other resources that the Career Services Department has. So if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and get started, and let's talk about LinkedIn and talk about what it is and what it's not. So a lot of people, when you mention LinkedIn, a lot of people maybe have heard of it. Maybe you recognize the little L logo, but you don't quite know what it is. LinkedIn profile for years and have no idea what it is or what they're doing with it. They set up the account, they downloaded the app, and it's just sat there, and there's just no updates. It's just there. So Let's have a conversation about what LinkedIn is and what it isn't. So let's start with what it is. It's definitely a tool that you can use for your job search. So if you're out there and maybe you've been on Indeed and you've applied to this job, you've applied to that job, you went down to the workforce center, you've submitted your resume 87,000 times, you went online, you applied to the job that asked for your resume, then it asked on the application for you to submit all the information that's on your resume again. You've gone through all that and maybe you just haven't gotten any responses yet. Or maybe this is brand new to you. Maybe you haven't had to look for a job before and you're not quite sure where to start. LinkedIn is a great tool that you can use for your job search. So what a lot of companies, a lot of organizations do is they create their own LinkedIn profile and they kind of use it the same way you would use TikTok or Instagram or anything like that, but they use it for professional purposes. So if you aren't familiar, for instance, with companies that may be in your area that may be hiring, LinkedIn is a way that you can look into that. If there is a company that maybe you're interested in working for, but you just don't know how to get your foot into the door, a great place to start as far as researching them is checking them out on LinkedIn. If you're looking for job tips and for whatever reason you're too nervous to go into your local career services office, LinkedIn is a great tool to get tips from interviewing to job searching, all the way down the line. So that's one thing that LinkedIn is. Another thing it's a way to research your future employer. So we talked about, I mentioned it just a minute ago, but when you're doing a job search, definitely when they start expressing interest in you, it's always a good idea to do some research on the employer that you're going to be applying for, whether that's trying to see what type of work atmosphere they have, what type of benefits they offer, what their values are, how much they're going to pay you. These are all important things to know before you actually show up for your first day of work. And a lot of times for certain companies, it can be hard to get information on them, but LinkedIn is just another tool that you can use to see what kind of events do they host, what type of things are important to them, what type of jobs are they hiring for. These are all things that you'll find employers sharing on their LinkedIn profile. Another thing that LinkedIn can be used for is it's another way to market yourself. At the end of the day, I don't like the phrase when people say when you go to an interview or when you're looking for a job, you have to sell yourself. I really don't like that phrase. I think marketing yourself is better because when you're marketing yourself, basically what you're doing is you're letting these employers know, hey, all of these job openings that you have are a problem that you have, and I'm the solution that's going to fix those problems. So by having a LinkedIn profile, we make it as professional as possible, which we'll talk about later on today. This is another tool that an employer can see, okay, I'm looking for somebody in the IT field. There's somebody that matches what we're looking for. Or, hey, this person came and interviewed for us last week. I'm still kind of on the fence about them because I think I want to hire somebody else. Let me check them out on LinkedIn to see what they're all about. And your LinkedIn account can be that one little edge that pushes you over the edge to get that employer to pick up that phone and make that call, that job offer. And then the last thing as far as what LinkedIn actually is, it's a way to stay on top of events in the area. So a lot of times, especially around here in Central Texas, there are a ton of hiring events. I mean, a lot. I am fortunate that I work in the career services office, so I am always getting updates on job fairs, on hiring events, on employers that are what they do is they have an open house where you can come in and speak to recruiters about different opportunities that they have. However, I would imagine if I wasn't working here, and I can actually attest to this, when I wasn't working here, that information could be hard to find, and it could be hard to know what event is happening. And the most frustrating thing you don't want to happen is you see that this company is hiring and they're hosting a job fair and they're looking to hire somebody just like you, but their job fair was yesterday, right? So these are all things that we want to avoid, and LinkedIn is a great way to stay on top of any type of hiring events, any type of workshops that you can benefit from, anything that can help you in your job search. Having another tool to gather that information is amazing, and LinkedIn is really great at that.
So we have a question. We have a
Yes,
few
ma'am.
questions coming in.
Oh, awesome. Go right ahead.
Yes. So how often should people be updating their LinkedIn profiles?
That is a great question. We'll talk about that a little bit later on today, but essentially updating your LinkedIn profile is just like updating your resume. I often say that your LinkedIn account should be like your digital resume, and those should be living documents. So we should be constantly updating our resume and our LinkedIn account. Now, with your LinkedIn specifically, anytime we accomplish anything in our professional lives, anytime we are out and about looking for work, anytime that we've made progress in our career, those are things that we want to update. Just the same way that, if I go to Wendy's and they give me a free lemonade, I may post that on my Facebook. Well, hey, if I graduate in December and now I have my certification in HVAC, I'm going to update my LinkedIn with that. If I just went to a workshop that I found was really helpful as far as building federal resumes, I'm going to first update my resume, but then also make a post on LinkedIn saying, hey, just came from this workshop, was really great. If I know that there's a job fair, I can share information about that. So those are the kind of things that we want to be updating on our LinkedIn profile, and we should be doing it as soon as possible. I hope that answers your question.
Yes. So should your profile be noted on your resume?
Absolutely. Well, the asterisk to that is if you listen to the rest of my presentation, yes. um, Most employers will not actively go out and search your LinkedIn account. But if you've actually put work, effort, and energy into your LinkedIn profile, you should be constantly sharing that with employers, whether you're at a job fair, whether you're at an interview, any opportunity that you get to share that information, you always want to make sure, because like we said before, LinkedIn is a great way to market yourself, but the best kind of marketing is the marketing that people know about. If people don't know about it, then it's not really serving you any good. Those are some great questions. Any more?
Actually, yes.
Awesome.
When starting a new search, is it important to create a LinkedIn profile if you don't have one?
So that's a very interesting question, because at the end of the day, it depends. It matters. It's up to you, right? The analogy that I like to use is when you start your job search, you have to put on your tool belt. And in your tool belt, you're going to have things like your resume. You're going to have things like your professional clothes that you're going to wear to your interview, any type of certifications, any type of education that you have. These are all things that we have in our tool belt that we can use to convince an employer to hire us. The cool thing about your tool belt is that it has unlimited pockets. So if we can make a pocket for our LinkedIn profile and add it there, even if we don't use it, at least we have it. Because if there is an employer and maybe it's between you and me, and they're trying to decide if they're going to hire you or me, maybe the hiring manager is familiar with LinkedIn and is a big fan of LinkedIn, and they just do a search. Or maybe on my resume, I include my LinkedIn profile and they look me up and then they see all of the additional things that I can market there, whereas you didn't have that. And so now when they're trying to make that decision, I guess they're going to hire me instead of you. And I'm sorry.
That's great. Last question I have for now. Does career services help with creating a profile in LinkedIn?
100%. If you haven't figured out already, that's kind of what we're doing today. But yes, if you need more one-on-one help or assistance with your LinkedIn account, I'm more than happy to help you out with that. You can make an appointment with me and we can sit down and talk about things that we can include in it. And we're actually going to touch on things to include and things not to include in your profile later on. But 100%, those are definitely things that we can help you with.
Great.
Awesome. So now that we've talked about those are great questions, by the way. Definitely keep those coming. But now that we've talked about what LinkedIn is, I think it's just as important to know what it's not. So what the very first thing that I always tell people about LinkedIn, about what it's not your normal social media. When we pull it up and let you take a look at it, you'll kind of get a better idea of what I'm saying. But LinkedIn isn't where we go to talk to our family members. It isn't where we go to talk to friends. It's not where we go to post the delicious baked potato that we ate for lunch. It's not where we're going to go to post the good time that we had at the bar last night with our friends. It's not going to be used in the same way that we use our typical social media. Even the funny picture of your cat who got stuck in a box, right? Those aren't things that we're going to use LinkedIn for. Doom scrolling isn't really something you do on LinkedIn. We're going to be very, very specific and very, very efficient with how we use LinkedIn, and we'll get more into that later. The next thing LinkedIn is not, it's not a dating site, right? We're not going to go there and link up with people in order to see if we can take them out to Chili's and share a basket of riblets, right? That's not what we're using LinkedIn for. We're not going there. We are going to use it, and we are going to network, and we are going to meet people, but we have to keep in mind that this is a professional atmosphere. Just in the same way, you wouldn't walk into a job interview and ask for your interviewer's phone number. You probably should keep things like that off of LinkedIn as well. The next thing that LinkedIn is not is it's a place for personal information. I kind of jumped the gun a little bit earlier when talking about that, but LinkedIn isn't the place where we share the picture of the new shoes that we got, the new video game that we just bought. It's not a place where we talk about how we feel. It's definitely not a place where we talk about things like religion or politics or anything that can potentially isolate you from a future employer. We save those things for Facebook, for Instagram. I wish we didn't, but that's where those things kind of go. LinkedIn is going to be, basically, if it's not about either finding you a paycheck or finding you a bigger paycheck, we'll just leave it off of LinkedIn for now. And then the last thing, and I think this is the most important thing as far as what LinkedIn is not, it is not a guarantee to get a new job. Meaning what? Meaning you can't sit at home, play Call of Duty all day, create a LinkedIn profile, and expect to get hired. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately not. To go back to the analogy of the tool belt, your LinkedIn profile is just a tool that we use to help us in the job of finding a job, but it's not going to get the job for you. No expert on LinkedIn, no amount of sessions with me or memorizing my presentation will get your LinkedIn profile to a level where an employer is going to seek you out, look at your LinkedIn profile, pick up the phone and offer you a job. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. But just because it's not a guarantee to get a new job, that doesn't mean it can't help you, but emphasis is on help there. But yeah, that kind of explains what LinkedIn is and what LinkedIn is not. So I hope if you weren't familiar with LinkedIn before, or maybe it's something that you kind of messed with in the past and you're coming back to it now, I hope that you're getting a better idea of what it is that we're using LinkedIn for. And what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to how we get started with LinkedIn. So before we create our LinkedIn profile, there are going to be some things that we want to get together. The very first thing we want to do is create ourselves a professional picture, right? We don't want the picture of you and 4 of your friends dragging you out of the bar last night. We don't want the picture of your cat laying on top of your head. We're not going to use the picture of your favorite anime character. We want a clean, professional picture of yourself. The thing I say is, this is your Sunday picture that you're sending to your mom, right? This is the picture that if your mom saves your picture under your contact in her phone, this is the picture that she's going to use. So if you don't have a professional picture already, what I would recommend to do would be to first find yourself a professional outfit, pretend as if you're going in for a job interview and get yourself a really nice looking outfit, or at least an outfit that looks good from the chest up, and take yourself a professional picture, a professional selfie. You may even get some of your friends to help you to make sure that you're getting the picture correctly, because this is social media, and social media is a visual platform. The way you present yourself does matter. So definitely we want to make sure that we have a good professional picture that we can use. And then in the future, once we start doing things like going to hiring events, going to job fairs, if we're taking pictures there, those are things that we want to do. When we're graduating, walking across the stage and getting our certificate, definitely those type of pictures are pictures that we include there. But we'll talk a little bit more about what type of pictures to include as well. But for right now, what we want to do is get a really nice, clean picture that you can send to your mom or your grandma, and they'll be perfectly fine with that picture on their phone. The next thing that we want to make sure that we have ready is the use summary. Some people call it the elevator pitch. On your resume, this is your objective statement. For those of you who aren't familiar, this is essentially a paragraph. It's usually about 3 to 5 sentences that explains who you are, what your intent is as far as what career field or what specific position you're interested in pursuing, what qualifications and skills and any type of certifications or degrees that you have. This is essentially, it's your elevator pitch. This is the same thing that you would say when you're going to a job fair and you're shaking that recruiter's hand and you're introducing yourself to them. This is the way that when somebody clicks on your profile, this is you saying hello to them and introducing yourself to them. If that's something that you struggle with, definitely come see me and we can talk about that as well. But right now, the best advice I can give you is don't be afraid to brag on yourself. This is one of the few times where you can make it all about you, right? We want to basically tell them how wonderful you are. Tell them that we walk on air. Tell them all the great things about yourself that are going to attract the attention of an employer. So that's the next thing that we want to work on. We want to make sure that it's intentional, that the grammar is correct. We want to make sure that somebody else edits that for us. So after you write it out, make sure you have a friend or 2 or 3 actually review it to make sure that we aren't making any mistakes and that it makes sense to somebody who's reading it that isn't in your brain. So that's the next thing that we want to have. The third thing that we'll need for our LinkedIn account, for some of you guys, this may seem like common sense, but it's only common sense if it's common for you. You need to create an email address. So if you do not have an email address already, what I personally would recommend would be to create one using one of the free services that are available, whether that be Google or is Hotmail still around? I think that's still around.
No,
No?
sorry.
Okay.
That's you're aging us.
I have Yahoo, so that I think I just aged myself too. But
Let's go back to Gmail.
Gmail,
Probably.
okay. Well, we'll stick with Gmail. If you do not have a Gmail account, if you just go to google.com, on the top right-hand corner, there is an option for their email service. It's 100% free. It's definitely recommended. It's a great way to stay in touch with employers. A lot of employers are switching to digital instead of even calling people. So if you do not have an email address and you're searching for a job, outside of LinkedIn, outside of this presentation, if you take nothing away from this presentation, definitely create yourself an email address. And then what you'll want to do is make sure that you have that email set up on your cell phone as well, so that way you can stay on top of any type of correspondence that come your way. But LinkedIn specifically does require that you have an email address. So we have our appropriate picture, we have our summary down, we've created our email address. Now what we're ready to do is head over to linkedin.com, and usually one of the very first things it'll ask you, if you don't have an account already, it'll ask you to create one. And there we can use our email address as our login, and then we can create a password that's unique to LinkedIn, so that way we can gain access to that account. It's a very straightforward process, and LinkedIn is usually pretty good as far as not sending you a ton of emails about every little thing that changes. But even then, you can go into their notification settings and update that, just in case you can customize it to what you are interested in versus what you aren't interested in receiving. So now that we've created our LinkedIn account, now what? We have this fancy new LinkedIn account and it looks pretty. We have our introduction there. We have our nice professional picture there. Now what do we do? So the very first thing we need to do is, we hinted on it earlier, we need to talk about how to use LinkedIn versus how we use social media. With LinkedIn, you want to be very intentional with how we use it. Meaning what? Meaning, if I have a doctor's appointment and maybe my doctor's running a little bit late, I may hop in the waiting room and hop on Facebook to see what people are doing. I may hop on Instagram to see if the favorite actress that I follow in a TV show posted any more pictures of her at the beach, right? I may hop on TikTok to see if that cat that was playing the piano is still playing the piano. I think I just dated myself again. But that's not what we're using LinkedIn for. What we want to use LinkedIn for is for a very specific reason. So what I would recommend doing would be to create in your schedule a specific time frame, whether it be 30 minutes, whether it be an hour, where this is our LinkedIn time. This is where we're going to log into LinkedIn. We're going to look for jobs. We're going to look for hiring events. We're going to look for employers that may be hiring in our area. We're going to research employers that we're interested in applying to. We're going to expand our network and start talking to people, maybe build some contacts, that can connect us with employers. We're going to be very, very intentional about using LinkedIn. And then this is the most important part, is once we've actually put in that effort and once we've actually gone through and we're very intentional about what we're doing, we're going to log off and we're going to stay off of it. Social media is designed to be addictive. It's designed to keep you on much longer than you intend to be on. It's designed to turn your brain off and just keep scrolling. I think I don't have to explain to you why turning your brain off when looking for a job isn't ideal. So that's why we want to make sure that once we are using LinkedIn, we're using it for a very specific purpose, a very specific reason, and then we're logging off. Because what we don't want to do is we don't want to get into an argument with somebody about the best job to apply for with IT. We don't want to get mixed up and post a picture that shouldn't be there. We don't want to antagonize an employer that was thinking about possibly hiring us, but now because you made their hiring manager mad, they don't want to hire you anymore, right? If you're having a bad day, if maybe the political party that you follow posted some really bad news, we don't want that to spill over into our LinkedIn account. Again, we're going to save that for Facebook and Instagram and TikTok or your journal, whatever it is that you're using. But we definitely want to make sure that we're keeping that stuff off of LinkedIn. And the next thing kind of ties into that as well, as far as making sure that we're keeping it professional versus keeping it personal. The thing I always say is, before you hit submit on any post on LinkedIn, you want to ask yourself the question, if I was in a job interview, would this be appropriate? Or ask yourself, how does this lead to me getting my next paycheck? If your answer isn't specific, if you don't know, or if your answer isn't clear, then let's just delete that post and think about it and maybe make some adjustments to it and post it a little bit later, or maybe just keep it to ourselves altogether. We want to make sure that we're separating our personal lives away from our professional lives. This even ties to things as innocent as maybe even trips with your children. When you're searching for a job, children can be kind of a sticky issue. For some employers, when they see that you have kids or when they see that you're really dedicated to your family, the way their brains interpret that is that, okay, when I need you to come in on the weekend, when I need you to work overtime, you're going to say no to me. That's not guaranteed, but why risk the opportunity of exposing yourself to that 1 out of 100 people who think that way? So let's do our best to keep the family stuff, the personal stuff, the entertainment type of things. We'll keep that on our regular social media, but definitely you got a promotion at work. You graduated. You took a workshop and have a certificate to show for it. You took a certification course. These are all things that we'll want to make sure that we're sharing on our LinkedIn account. But what you ate for dinner last night, even though it looked really pretty, we'll keep that on Instagram instead. The next thing that we want to talk about when it comes to as far as what we're posting and what we're doing with our social media account, and this is true for all social media, but things like pictures and videos are going to attract more people than just text. So what I mean when I say that is if you think about your own social media habits, a post that has a picture or a video linked to it is going to catch your attention a lot faster than a post that's just all text. So let's be mindful of that when we're making our posts in the future. If you can include a picture, that's appropriate, that we talked about before, let's do that. If we're at a job fair and we're really excited and we get permission from someone and maybe want to do a quick little interview, let's post that video and then we can caption it with text as well. But anytime you can include pictures and videos in your post, appropriate pictures and videos in your post, let's do that along with text and make it so that those pictures kind of dominate our LinkedIn timeline more so than just the regular text. And then the last thing that we want to keep in mind now that we have our LinkedIn account set up, and we touched on it earlier, is regular check-ins, right? We want to make sure that we're constantly looking in, because to go back to the example earlier, we don't want to find out about the job fair that would have been perfect for us that happened yesterday. I don't want to find out about the employer that's hiring, but the position closed last week. I want to make sure that I'm staying on top of this information on a regular basis. And to go back to what I said initially, if we are intentional about how we use our LinkedIn time, then we can automatically check for that. If we're intentional, then we know, okay, I've used my LinkedIn time today. I'm going to do the same thing again tomorrow and tomorrow. And you know what? Give yourself weekends off if you want to. I think that's great. If you have a job right now, if you're working in retail or in the food industry, that probably sounds amazing to you, right? So if you want to leave the weekends for your Instagram or for your TikTok, great. But then on Monday, let's make sure that we're logging in and that we're getting back on it and we're checking it and that we're using it and we're intentional with it. As far as how often you should check it, only you can answer that, right? There may be some of us who have the time to check their LinkedIn account every single day. There may be some of us who maybe check it once a week. But what I will say is you want to be regular with your check-ins. What you don't want to do is check it today and then not check it again for 5 years, right? If we are going to check it, we want to make sure that we're logging in and that we're intentional with it on a regular basis. Because if we're not regular with it, then it doesn't serve us any purpose. And then you might as well have just not created a profile at all. All right, let's talk about friends on LinkedIn. Because just like any other social media platform, you can make friends on LinkedIn. You can get friend requests, you can follow people, you can follow companies, and they post regular updates just like your Facebook, your Instagram, just like anything else. However, with LinkedIn, again, I'm going to use this word and drive it into the ground. We're going to be intentional. So I'm not going to follow somebody. I'm not going to follow someone I went to high school with 20 years ago who I maybe exchanged 3 words with, right? I'm not going to follow my favorite taco food truck. I'm not, well, unless I want to work in a food truck, but the idea is that we want to make sure that we're following people that are actually going to contribute to what it is that what our goals are actually are. So one of the first people I would recommend as far as seeking out when you're on LinkedIn, and really this can expand to your social media in general, are what I call professional influencers. So what I mean when I say professional influencers, I don't mean the people who sit on Instagram and get paid to take a picture of them kissing the camera, right? I'm talking about people who are in your industry that created a social media profile specifically to help others in their industry. So As an example, say you're interested in pursuing a career in nursing. Well, what you'll find is there are influencers on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube, who create their entire social media profiles about this is the day of the life of someone of an ER nurse. These are some of the things that I had to deal with. These are some tips you can use if you're looking to get into nursing. Hey, are you starting nursing school next week? Here's some tips that I used when I was in nursing school. Those are the type of professional influencers that we want to find. And I know I use nursing as an example, but you'll find these type of influencers in all different types of professions, whether you're interested in studying law, IT, business, you'll always find these influencers that are specifically looking to help people that are in the field, either give you some insight into what that profession is, or just give you straight up tips and advice on how to break into that career field. So those are definitely some folks that I would recommend looking into. The next thing that we want to look for as far as people to follow are people who are hiring. If you are driving down the street and maybe you see a billboard that says, hey, we're hiring now, or if there's maybe a specific company that you've just always wanted to work for, let's look them up on LinkedIn. Let's give them a follow. Let's make sure that if they are hiring, let's follow them to see, okay, maybe they aren't hiring for the job I'm interested in now, but now that I'm following them and I'm checking my LinkedIn on a regular basis, part of my routine when I get into LinkedIn is to look into that company to see, okay, are they hiring again? Are they hiring in my field? Is there a job fair that's happening close to me? Places like the Workforce Center, that's a great place to follow on LinkedIn if you aren't following them. I mean, they're great to follow on all social media, but definitely on your LinkedIn as well. And that kind of ties into the next thing that we want to be looking for on social media are people who are going to be sharing information on events. So people like Central Texas College Career Services, that's a great follow. That's a great place to go to get information on job fairs happening. We already talked about the workforce. They also put out information like that as well. But then also, you're in your area, take a look at the largest employers. In this area, it's going to be Killeen Independent School District and Baylor Scott and White. Those are the two biggest employers in our area by far outside of Fort Cavazos. Definitely let's follow them. Let's see what type of positions they hire for, because when you hear Killeen Independent School District, your mind may go straight to teacher, but you have to remember there are administrators there, there are custodians there, there are people who work in the who work outside, who cut the grass, who make sure that the buildings look good. Same thing with when you're looking for jobs at Baylor Scott and White. You may think Scott and White and think maybe nurse or doctor or something in the medical field, but there are tons of positions that they offer that may not be directly associated with that. And that's why they are such large employers. So big employers like that, even if you don't think your career field is linked to them, I can guarantee you Baylor Scott and White wants to hire people in the IT field. We want to make sure that we're staying atop of all of these opportunities, not just the ones that we think are obvious. And then the last thing I would recommend as far as people to follow would be local institutions. So Central Texas College, just in general, is a good place to follow. Texas A&M Central Texas is a great place to follow. They may come drag me out of my office for saying this, but Temple College, Austin Community College, these are great institutions to follow because they are also going to be giving you information on opportunities both in your area and in the surrounding areas as well. We all know that commuting in this area is very, very common. There are a ton of people that live in Killeen and drive to Austin, drive to Waco. And if you aren't following people that are in those areas that have those opportunities, you're cutting yourself short. So absolutely, any type of institution of higher learning, any type of institution that we talked about that employs a lot of people in a lot of different areas, you'll definitely want to make sure that you're following them. And then also, when you're looking online, you'll find recruiters who their whole job is looking for people like you to hire. If we can find them on LinkedIn, those are going to be amazing contacts to have as well, which you can usually find them at job fairs and hiring events, things like that. So We figured out what LinkedIn is. We figured out how to create our LinkedIn account. We even figured out how to make a couple of posts. We've added some friends. We followed some people. Now we want to take it to that next level. Now we want to make LinkedIn work for us. And there are countless ways to do that, but the three things that I want to focus on are your regular check-ins. We already talked about this earlier, but I want to mention it again because it's just that important. If you aren't logging into your LinkedIn account on a regular basis, and I'm capitalizing regular, actually in my head, I'm putting the whole word in all caps, regular check-ins on LinkedIn, then it's not serving you any purpose. If you create a LinkedIn account, you leave it there, and then you never look at it again, you might as well as just not done it at all. So whether it's weekly, whether it's daily, whether you want to do it twice a week, 3 times a week, you want to make sure that you're constantly checking in. So that way, if there's an opportunity that LinkedIn can share with you, you have to be there to find it. The next thing we do is something that we already do if we're using social media, is engaging with posts. So if you see an employer that's posting about their job fair that's going to be next week, there's nothing wrong with liking the post, maybe even leaving a comment saying, "Hey, can't wait to meet with your recruiters. I've always wanted to work for your organization. I'll see you next week." By engaging with posts, it does 2 different things. One, it tells that employer, it tells that future employer that this is someone who's actually interested in coming to our event. A lot of times what you'll find is the same people that are out there recruiting are the same ones who are creating these social media posts. So it may turn out that just by commenting on that post and engaging with it, when you go to that job fair next week and you meet with that recruiter, you introduce yourself and they may remember your name. And one of the most helpful things when you're looking for employment, when you're turning in your resume to a million different places, is making sure people can actually remember who you are. It makes it that much harder for them to reject you. So definitely engaging with posts is a great way to do that. The second thing engaging with posts does for you is it tricks the algorithm. So for those who are not familiar with the way social media works, if I follow a post about a cat hitting a dog in the face and I like it and I comment on it, Facebook is going to send me 10 more videos of funny cats doing funny things. And so that's kind of the same logic that we want to use here. If I find an IT company that's advertising about their job fair next week and I like and I engage with that post, then what the algorithm is going to do, it's going to look for similar organizations that are also making similar posts. And then when you look at your recommended tips on your timeline, you may see some employers there that you may not have been aware of before. So definitely want to make sure that we're engaging with posts whenever we can. We obviously don't want to go too far with it, don't stalk these people. But definitely if there is something that interests you, if there's something that you're excited about, absolutely, let's engage with that post. Even if there's a friend of yours that you follow on LinkedIn and they just posted a picture of them graduating or getting a new job, give them that thumbs up, say congratulations, give them that encouragement. I think with how difficult job hunting can be, any type of encouragement you can get from anywhere is always beneficial. So definitely we want to make sure that we're doing that. And then the last thing we want to do, and it kind of ties into both those earlier 2 things as well, is expanding your network. So what does that mean? Basically what that means is when you are looking for a job, your network essentially is you. You know you want a job, but until you start going out there and looking, nobody else does. So unless you have a job to give yourself, what you need to do is start applying. You need to start going to job fairs and talking to people so that way they also become familiar with who you are as well. LinkedIn, like we've said before, is another tool that we can use to expand your network. So you're on our job board, you're on the CTC job board, you're going to job fairs, you're following Baylor Scott and White to see when their next job fair is. By using your LinkedIn, we can do all that, and then maybe Cadence Bank, their social media account gets recommended to you. You follow them, I can tell you the majority of job fairs in this area are at Cadence Bank Center. Maybe I apply for a job at Bank of America and I don't get it, so I follow them on LinkedIn. But the algorithm sees that, hey, you follow Bank of America, you're looking for a job at a bank. Well, Chase is hiring. Maybe you'd like to see this post as well. That's something that I wouldn't have been aware of if I didn't have a LinkedIn account that I was checking on a regular basis. So these are ways that we can make LinkedIn work for us. And as you use it more, you'll find more opportunities to make LinkedIn go to work for you. So that more or less sums up my presentation on LinkedIn. This by no means is all inclusive. I mean, if I were here to tell you everything about LinkedIn, I couldn't because I don't know everything about LinkedIn, and we would be here all day long. But I would definitely encourage you to look into it more if I've sparked your curiosity. But at the same time, don't let it overwhelm you. Make it work for what you want it to work for. You don't have to learn everything. The only thing you have to learn is how you want it to work for you. And so you don't have to get overwhelmed with everything that's involved in there. But that being said, again, I want to thank you guys for having the patience to sit through my presentation. Before I hop online to show you guys a couple of things, I wanted to ask, are there any other questions?
I don't have any at this time.
Okay, awesome. So, whoops. The next thing I want to show you give me just a minute.
All right. You might want to stop sharing if you want. There you go. You did it. Okay, I see the website now.
Okay, the CTC website.
It says CTC Live LinkedIn.
Oh, well, let me move this over here. All right.
No, there we got it. Now we have CTC.
Perfect. So I just want to show you guys a couple of things, and then I promise you I will give you your Tuesday afternoon back. The very first thing I want to do is show you where to find career services on the CTC website. So for those of you who aren't familiar, this is the CTC homepage, just ctcd.edu. The easiest way to find us is if you come here to the search and you make it cooperate with you and just search for career services. We should be the very first link that comes up for you right here. And again, if you come here, you can find all of our contact info. I need to get our address updated, so ignore that part, but you definitely have our phone number, our email address, and how you can get a hold of us. You can find out some more information about us. But the two things I really wanted to point out to you, number one, the career assessment tool. Me and Mariceli talked about it earlier. If that's something that you're interested in, you can come right here. And myplan.com is the vendor that we use for our career assessment tool. And if you follow these instructions here, it'll walk you through setting up your account and then get you started as far as taking that career assessment tool. The other thing I wanted to show you was our job board, which you can find that right here under Career Services Connect. If we click there, this talks more about the actual job board and some of the services available there through it. But right down here at the bottom, collegecentral.com/Central Texas College, you'll use your CTC ID to log in here. And then once you're there, you can browse different employers, different job postings, upload your resume. There's actually a really cool resume builder there if you don't have one, and if you're too nervous to come talk to me. This is a really great starting point. And then the last thing I wanted to show y'all, this is our LinkedIn account.
Ooh.
So right now you can already see LinkedIn does have its own visual uniqueness. Obviously, it's going to look different if you're accessing it on your phone. Personally, what I would recommend would be to set it up on your computer first, and then once you're there, once you've created your login, you can set up the download the app on your phone as well. But you can see mine's going to look a little bit different than y'all's. This is a professional one. Y'all's will be a personal one. But you can see here, you can check for jobs, you can check within your network. There's obviously notifications, information about yourself, and then the home page is where you can go to do your browsing as well. Let's see. Okay. Okay. That is all that I had.
Can you show it where it says view as a member? Would that show it to people like not from you as like the administrator for this one, but maybe what other people would see?
It would, but it would show you my personal information, and I think
Got
you
it.
guys are great, but I'd rather not
No,
share my
that's
personal info.
fair.
But
That's
I
fair.
would definitely encourage you to get in there and experiment with it. It's designed not to be. It's designed. You can't really mess anything up in it. It seems like a lot, but again, you can go in there and customize the way it looks, however simple or however advanced you want to go with it. But again, if I could leave you guys with closing thoughts, again, LinkedIn is not going, if you don't have a job now and you aren't looking for a job, LinkedIn isn't going to get you a job, but it's definitely a helpful tool that you can use in your job search belt. If you do have any questions about LinkedIn, if you're just curious about your career search, or if there's any kind of way that career services can help you, definitely come talk to me over in the financial aid building.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This has been, I learned a lot personally, so thank you. Very much enjoy this. If you have watched it and you want to watch it again because you really want to go through all the steps with William one more time and remember what he said, this is going to be reposted in the CTC YouTube page. You're welcome to watch it and rewatch it once it's posted, either later today or probably more likely tomorrow. So please check out all of our events. I know that tomorrow, this is the last one that we have for today, but where's my stuff? Here you go, events. We will be having the success coaches tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central Time. We'll be talking to them and getting more information from them about what they do for all of our students here at CTC. It is super exciting. Thank you very much, William, and thank you to all. Have a great day.